Last month, a homeowner in Ohio was hit with a $7,000 removal bill and a legal warning for something that sounds harmless: landscaping his own front yard, not dumping waste, not building an unsafe structure, not doing anything most people would consider illegal. Just one plant growing near his home, the kind of plant many homeowners buy because it looks beautiful, grows fast, and seems easy to maintain. Across North America and parts of the United Kingdom, plants like this are becoming a serious problem. Some are being restricted, some are being banned. Some can trigger fines, neighbor complaints, removal orders, or repair bills that climb into the thousands. And the worst part is that many of them do not look dangerous. They look like normal garden plants, the kind you might see beside a fence, climbing a wall, growing around a pond, or sitting next to a front porch. That is what makes them risky. A plant can be legal when you buy it, popular when you plant it, and a liability a few years later. It can spread under your fence, damage your walls, poison your pets, invade natural areas, or become so expensive to remove that it costs more than the entire garden around it. Today, we are looking at 10 beautiful plants that can turn your backyard into a financial nightmare. The first plant is Japanese knotweed. At first glance, it does not look like a disaster. It grows tall, green, and dense. It produces small white flowers and can create a fast privacy screen along fences, streams, walls, and property edges. To someone who wants a quick solution for an empty corner, it may even look useful. But Japanese knotweed is one of the most feared invasive plants in residential landscaping because the real threat is underground. Its root and rhizome system can spread far beyond the visible stems. It can exploit cracks in asphalt, push through weak pavement, invade drainage areas, and create problems near foundations, retaining walls, patios, and driveways. In some places, its presence can affect property sales, mortgage approvals, insurance concerns, and disclosure requirements. A buyer who discovers Japanese knotweed after purchasing a home may see it not as a garden issue, but as a serious financial defect. The frightening part is how easily it regenerates. A small fragment of root or stem can create a new plant. That means cutting it, digging it carelessly, mowing it, or moving contaminated soil can make the infestation worse. Many homeowners try to remove it like an ordinary weed, only to spread it across the yard. Once established, Japanese knotweed can require years of repeated treatment. It is not a weekend project. It is a long-term control problem. If you see bamboo-like stems, fast seasonal growth, large shield-shaped leaves, and white flower clusters near a foundation, fence, stream, or driveway, do not ignore it. Early identification can save thousands. The second plant is Bradford Pear, also known as calorie pear. For decades, it was treated like the perfect suburban tree. It grew quickly, had a neat symmetrical shape, and exploded into white flowers every spring. Developers loved it because it made new neighborhoods look finished. Cities planted it along streets. Homeowners planted it because it seemed clean, easy, and ornamental. Then the problems became impossible to ignore. Bradford pear trees have weak branch structure. Their limbs often grow at narrow angles, creating weak points that split as the tree matures. During storms, wind, snow, or heavy rain, these trees can break apart suddenly. They do not always lose a small branch. Sometimes the whole tree splits down the middle, dropping heavy limbs onto cars, roofs, fences, sidewalks, and power lines. That alone would make it a poor choice near a house. But the bigger issue is that calorie pear escaped cultivation. It spread into fields, roadsides, and natural areas, where it formed dense, thorny thickets that crowd out native plants. Because of this, several states have restricted or banned its sale, and some replacement programs encourage homeowners to cut them down and plant safer trees. There is also the smell. During bloom, many people describe Bradford pear flowers as smelling like rotting fish, dirty socks, or old garbage. So the tree gives you a short burst of beauty, a bad odor, weak structure, invasive spread, and a future removal bill. The third plant is running bamboo. Bamboo is one of the easiest plants to recognize. It looks clean, modern, tropical, and useful. People plant it for privacy because it grows fast, and creates a tall green screen much quicker than most hedges. If your neighbor's window faces your patio, bamboo can look like the perfect solution. But running bamboo does not behave like a normal hedge. It spreads through underground rhizomes that travel horizontally through the soil and send up new shoots far from the original planting area. Those shoots can appear under fences, in lawns, beside patios, near foundations, inside garden beds, and across property lines. At first, the bamboo may seem contained. Then one season, it appears in places where you never planted it. This is where the legal risk begins. In some municipalities and neighborhoods, bamboo is regulated because of how often it creates disputes between neighbors. If your bamboo spreads into another property, damages landscaping, pushes through hardscape, or becomes impossible to control, you may be responsible for removal costs. A privacy screen can become a lawsuit with leaves. Cutting the canes does not kill the underground rhizomes. They can keep producing new growth. Digging them out may require excavation. Barriers must be installed correctly, deep enough, and inspected regularly. Running bamboo is the one homeowners must treat with caution. If you want privacy, ask whether you want a plant that stays where you put it, or a plant that may eventually become your neighbor's problem too. The fourth plant is English ivy. It is one of the most recognizable plants in the world. It covers old brick buildings, climbs walls, spreads across shady ground, and creates that classic, established look people associate with old homes, universities, and historic gardens. It grows where grass struggles. It stays green. It fills space. That is exactly why homeowners keep planting it. But English ivy is not harmless decoration. When it climbs a house, it attaches itself with aerial roots that grip tightly to surfaces. On brick, those roots can work into mortar joints and hold moisture against the wall. On siding, ivy can creep underneath edges, trap dampness, and contribute to rot. On painted surfaces, removing it can tear away the finish and leave scars. What looks charming from a distance can hide years of moisture damage underneath. The problem is not limited to buildings. When English ivy climbs trees, it adds weight, increases wind resistance, and can hide damage or decay in the trunk. A tree covered in ivy may look lush, but it may also be under stress. In storms, the extra weight can increase the chance of breakage. On the ground, ivy forms dense mats that suppress native plants and spread into neighboring yards, parks, and wooded areas. Even where it is not banned, homeowner associations may restrict it because it spreads beyond planting beds and creates constant maintenance issues. A free cutting from a neighbor may look like an easy way to cover an ugly wall. Years later, you may be paying to repair brickwork, scrape siding, cut vines from trees, and keep it from swallowing the rest of your yard. The fifth plant is Wisteria, especially Chinese Wisteria and Japanese Wisteria. This is one of the most beautiful plants on the list. It produces hanging clusters of purple, blue, pink, or white flowers that can make a pergola, fence, or garden entrance look like something from a dream. It is dramatic, romantic, and extremely photogenic. But behind that beauty is a vine with enormous strength. Non-native wisterias can grow aggressively, climb trees, wrap around trunks, pull on structures, and spread into natural areas. Their vines thicken over time and can become heavy enough to damage weak supports. If planted near a porch, arbor, gutter, fence, or small tree, wisteria can eventually become more powerful than the structure holding it. In natural spaces, invasive wisteria can smother native vegetation by climbing over trees and shrubs, blocking light, and forming dense, tangled growth. Once established, it can be difficult to remove because it resprouts from roots and cut stems. Like many invasive vines, it punishes casual maintenance. Cutting it once does not solve the problem. It often comes back stronger unless the root system is handled properly. For homeowners, wisteria is dangerous because it feels worth the risk. The flowers are spectacular, the plant looks expensive, but if you plant the wrong species in the wrong place, the fantasy turns into years of pruning, cutting, and structural worry. The sixth plant is privet, also known as ligustrum. Many people do not think of privet as dangerous because it is so common. It is used for hedges, privacy screens, borders, and formal landscapes. It can be clipped into clean shapes and grows into dense green walls that look tidy from the street. For homeowners who want a fast hedge, privet seems practical, but several non-native privet species are invasive in many regions. They produce berries that birds spread into forests, fields, roadsides, and natural areas. Once established, privet can form dense thickets that block sunlight, crowd out native shrubs, and reduce the diversity of plants that insects and wildlife depend on. In some areas, privet has become one of the dominant invasive shrubs in the understory. The issue with privet is that it feels ordinary. A homeowner sees a hedge. The environment receives thousands of seeds. You may trim the plant neatly every year and still be contributing to spread beyond your property. That makes it a quiet problem, not a dramatic one. Privet also demands maintenance. If left untrimmed, it can grow large, woody, and messy. If it escapes into neglected corners, it can become difficult to remove. Cutting mature privet often leads to regrowth from the stump, so long-term control may require repeated cutting, stump treatment, or professional removal. The seventh plant is butterfly bush, often called buddleia. This one is tricky because gardeners love it for a reason. It produces long, colorful flower spikes that attract butterflies, bees, and other pollinators. It blooms heavily, looks beautiful on camera, and seems like the kind of plant every wildlife-friendly garden should have. But traditional butterfly bush, especially Buddleia davidi, can be invasive in some regions. It produces large numbers of seeds and can spread into disturbed areas, roadsides, riverbanks, and natural habitats. It may attract adult butterflies, but it does not necessarily support the full life cycle of native butterflies the way native host plants do. In other words, it can look like a pollinator hero while still behaving like an ecological problem. The issue is not that every butterfly bush in every garden is equally dangerous. Some newer cultivars are bred to be seedless or less fertile, and regulations vary by location. But older fertile types can spread beyond cultivation, especially where the climate allows them to establish easily. For homeowners, the risk is buying the plant only because the label says it attracts butterflies. That is not enough. A good wildlife garden needs plants that feed pollinators, support larvae, fit the local ecosystem, and do not spread aggressively into wild areas. The eighth plant is oleander. Unlike some plants on this list, oleander is not mainly feared because it takes over forests or cracks foundations. Its danger is toxicity. It is a beautiful ornamental shrub with glossy leaves and flowers that can be pink, white, red, or yellow. In warm climates, it is common along roads, gardens, patios, and property borders because it tolerates heat, drought, and poor conditions. But oleander is highly poisonous. All parts of the plant contain toxic compounds that can affect the heart if ingested. Leaves, flowers, stems, sap, and even dried plant material can be dangerous. This creates a serious risk for children, pets, livestock, and anyone who handles or disposes of it carelessly. The problem is that oleander looks like a normal ornamental shrub. It does not look like a hazard. It is colorful, clean, and often used in public landscapes. But a beautiful plant near a play area, dog run, school, or backyard patio can become a risk if people do not understand what it is. Even pruning requires care. You do not want children playing with cut branches or pets chewing fallen leaves. You do not want to burn oleander debris because smoke from toxic plant material can also be dangerous. If your garden is used by pets, children, or grazing animals, the question is not whether oleander looks good. The question is whether that beauty is worth the risk. The ninth plant is foxglove, also known as digitalis. This plant is famous for its tall spikes of bell-shaped flowers, usually in purple, pink, cream, or white. It looks delicate, cottage-like, and elegant. It fits perfectly in romantic gardens and photographs beautifully. But foxglove is another plant where beauty hides a serious toxic profile. Foxglove contains compounds that can affect the heart. The plant is historically connected to digitalis medicine, but that does not make the raw plant safe. Eating leaves, flowers, or seeds can be dangerous for humans and animals. The risk is especially concerning in gardens where children may touch or pick flowers, or where pets chew plants. Unlike an invasive plant, foxglove may not destroy your yard. It may not damage your house, but it can create a safety issue if planted casually in the wrong place. A plant does not have to spread aggressively to become a backyard problem. Sometimes the danger is what happens when someone touches it, eats it, or mistakes it for something harmless. Foxglove can also self-seed in some gardens, meaning it may appear in new spots over time. That can be charming for experienced gardeners, but risky if toxic plants start showing up where children or pets play. The 10th plant is lily of the valley. It looks small, delicate, and innocent. It has white bell-shaped flowers, green leaves, and a sweet fragrance. It is often associated with old gardens, shade, spring, and elegance. Because of its size, many people underestimate it. But lily of the valley is toxic. All parts of the plant can be dangerous if ingested, including the leaves, flowers, and berries. Like foxglove and oleander, it contains compounds that can affect the heart. This is especially concerning because the plant is low to the ground, attractive, and sometimes produces berries that may interest children or pets. It can also spread in the garden through underground rhizomes, forming colonies in shady areas. Some gardeners appreciate that because it fills difficult spaces. Others regret it when it becomes hard to remove from beds where they want more diversity. It is not the same kind of invasive threat everywhere, but in a residential yard, it can become both a toxic plant and a spreading ground cover. The danger is the contrast between appearance and reality. It looks gentle, it smells pleasant, it feels traditional. But if you have pets, young children, or a garden where people pick flowers without thinking, it deserves caution. When you look at all 10 plants together, the pattern becomes clear. Japanese knotweed is dangerous because it spreads underground and can affect property value. Bradford pear is dangerous because it breaks apart and invades natural areas. Running bamboo is dangerous because it crosses property lines and creates neighbor disputes. English ivy is dangerous because it damages walls, climbs trees, and spreads aggressively. Wisteria is dangerous because its beauty hides strength and invasiveness. Privet is dangerous because a neat hedge can become a seed source for wild thickets. Butterfly bush is dangerous because it can be marketed as helpful while spreading in sensitive areas. Oleander is dangerous because it is highly toxic. Foxglove is dangerous because its flowers contain heart-affecting compounds. Lily of the valley is dangerous because its delicate appearance hides toxicity and spreading behavior. The important lesson is that not every risky plant is risky in the same way. Some threaten your house, some threaten your neighbor's property, some threaten local ecosystems, some threaten pets and children, some threaten your wallet through removal costs, fines, repairs, or legal disputes. But they all share one thing. They can look beautiful before they become a problem. If you are not sure what is growing in your yard, start with identification. Take clear photos of the leaves, flowers, stems, berries, bark, and overall growth habit. Pay attention to where the plant is growing. Is it near a foundation, near a fence, near a pond, near a play area, near a tree, near your neighbor's property? Location matters because the same plant can be a minor issue in one spot and a serious risk in another. Then, check local guidance. Plant rules are not the same everywhere. A species may be banned in one state, restricted in another, and simply discouraged somewhere else. Some plants may be legal to own, but illegal to sell, transport, or intentionally spread. Some may be allowed only if they are sterile cultivars. Some may be safe in one climate and invasive in another. Do not rely only on the fact that a garden center sells it. Stores do not always reflect the most cautious ecological advice. Do not rely only on what a previous homeowner planted. They may have planted it years before the risks were widely known. And do not rely only on beauty. The plant does not care how good it looks in spring if it is damaging your home, spreading into wild land, or putting pets at risk. The safest garden is not a boring garden. It is an intentional garden. If you want privacy, choose plants that stay where they belong. If you want flowers, choose plants that support local pollinators without invading natural areas. If you want ground cover, choose something that will not climb your walls or choke your trees. If you have pets or children, think carefully before planting toxic ornamentals near paths, patios, play areas, or doors. Every risky plant has an alternative. Your yard should add value to your home, not create a future bill. It should give you shade, flowers, privacy, and peace, not legal stress, neighbor complaints, damaged walls, invasive roots, or toxic surprises. The wrong plant can look beautiful for a season and cost you for years. The right plant can grow with your home instead of fighting against it. So before you plant something because it is fast, cheap, colorful, or popular, ask a few questions. Does it spread underground? Does it produce berries birds will carry away? Does it climb structures? Is it toxic to pets or children? Is it restricted in my state or city? Will it still be a good idea 10 years from now? That small pause can save you money, protect your home, and keep your garden from becoming a problem you never meant to create. A beautiful yard is not just about what grows, it is about what belongs.